Pete's been, I don't know the word to say, maybe just okay. Like he's had sporadic, and I think you know, we have 22 games or whatever left to get his game going. You know, maybe I got to do a better job of getting him going in certain spots. You know, sometimes moving around a little bit will help, but I think the power play has hurt his 5-on-5 play for some reason. The confidence of the power play has kind of cost his confidence a little bit on 5-on-5, and we've had some good talks. Actually, he's had a good headspace. I just talked to him in the last couple of days about he feels good about his head right now, so that's a good thing. But you know, you can't worry about if a bad power play is going to affect your 5-on-5. You can't. You just got to be able to stick with it, and you know, be that. You know, he's got to be a play driver for us. You know.
He admits at times he's felt fatigue, like he made a comment to us after a few games recently that some guys look tired. Do you see that some games as well during this stretch?
Yeah, yes, I have. But, you know, Pete is still learning. He's 25. He's still trying to learn. He hasn't played much playoffs. Like, he's got to understand there's a lot of things. But, you know, to me at practice, that's where, you know, I think he's changed his mindset a little bit. You know, he would rest in practice because he wanted fresh for the games. But he has to understand practice is really important, and you got to push the pace. That's how you deal with pressure. So I think he's starting to understand that.
So you're seeing a change in his practice then?
He's practiced a lot better for me the last 2-3 weeks. And I think that will help him in the long run. You know, I'm a firm believer you practice hard. You know, you have to practice really hard. You'll get days off. I'll get you rest. But I think sometimes he was resting because, you know, he knew he was going to play a lot, and he was resting for the games. I think you got to be careful of that.
About the fact that, you know, there was a report on the weekend, I think you addressed it at one point, about PD and just kind of the noise around his situation and teams calling. Do you think that affects him at all? Do you think he hears any of that noise?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody's human like that. You know, the contract, and all that. I think there's a part of it, sure. I mean, you know, he's a human being, right? There's a lot of pressure weighing on him and stuff like that. So, as a coach, you know, we don't really talk. I've never really talked about contract with him. He asked me one time, "How do you deal with outside noise?" That was a while ago, but you know, I think for him, you know, he's in a market there's a lot of noise, and I think he's dealt really well with it. So. You know, I know he's good at when he gets away from the rink, getting away from things. So I told him, you know, whatever you're doing away from the rink, you know, that when you're playing your best hockey, start to do.
When he asked you that, what was your advice? How to keep the outside noise out?
Well, he can only control what he can control, right? And that's, you know, when he comes today, okay, how am I going to get better? You know, that's my big thing. You know, is it grabbing Yosi, watching video? Is it going out early practice? Is it going to the gym? And then after that, you know, can you shut your brain off when you leave the rink? That's the hard part. And I think that, or use your teammates to help, or what other resources. You know, we have a mental health skills guy who was excellent here. You know, use him. Like, there's a lot of resources to use to block out noise.
Rick, swinging back to JT,
Yeah.
He's arguably playing some of the best hockey of his career, and in the past we've seen that passion that he plays with kind of go sideways. What's been the big key for you in terms of him keeping that on point this year?
Just communicating. You know, if he feels he's going a little sideways, or whatever the word you want to use it, or I feel it, it's communication. You know, it's getting to Millsy or him getting to me and talking it out. I think he's done a really good job the last 2 weeks of doing that. If something has bothered him, or the team's done something that he doesn't like, you know, he gets to it right away in a good way. You know, and that's what I like. It's not negative. It's not combative. It's getting to it. And I think, you know, I got to give him a lot of credit because it's all him. You know, he's really done a good job of working with that.
And it doesn't build up, I imagine. I mean, because that line of communication is open at all times.
Well, that's the thing. You know, well, yeah, you have to. I mean, that's my job. I mean, it's not X and O's. It's obviously the mental part too. I mean, and he can help me too. You know, it's a two-way street.
And what are you seeing from his game specifically in terms of why he's playing so well this year?
Well, I think he demands the puck. He drives play. You know, you'll see certain points of a game where we need a little boost, and he is going to a place where if the guy doesn't give him the puck, he's going to go offside, or he just demands the puck. And that's the way I want our team to play, is demand the puck. If you wait around for the puck, you're going to be waiting around for the puck. He's not waiting. He's basically, give me the puck, or I'm going to go here, whatever the option is for the other guy, make that option. So he's just drive and play. You can just see.
And then can we talk about that communication? Was that something that you initiated as a staff, or did that come from him at the start of the year?
Well, just from last year, just knowing, I didn't know him well, and just kind of see how he ticked, and then take a step back, and then see how he ticked, and then kind of talk to him. Adam Foote's got a great relationship with him. Yosi does it. We have coaches that have good relations with Millsy, and he'll use them. It's not just me.
You talked about trying to have a feel for the group. What's your feel right now coming off the game last night and what they need heading into tomorrow?
Well, we had a meeting today that they know. They know that obviously, I think we lead the league in penalties since the All-Star break. That's kind of a concerning thing for me because a lot of it's the stick. We got to stop turnovers, things like that. Consistency when it comes to those categories is something we got to get better at if we want to get to the next level. So it's been addressed, not just for me. I think the players are saying it too, which is a good thing.
How do you eliminate those stick penalties? Is it just attention to detail?
Well, we practiced today. We had a drill where it's stick on puck. That will help. Might have to start taking ice time from guys that are taking numerous penalties. That's the only really how you make the players accountable. And hopefully the player understands that and changes even the technique. You can't have a loose stick when you can't have your stick flapping in the air. I will say that I do hate in the league that people snap their head backs and they get penalties, and I feel bad for the refs because I could see a guy who snaps his head, they call it. We've had 3 where the guy really didn't high stick guy and the guy snapped his head. So but the refs have done a great job. I've actually told a couple of refs if you find a guy snapping his head, I wouldn't even give the guy a penalty for the rest of the year. Like that's how you curb that crap. But I'm off topic. We're taking too many penalties. How's that?
Were any of those 3 last night?
Like penalties?
No, where you said a guy snapped his head back.
No. It's been a bunch of other games, but it happens, and I don't blame the refs. I mean, because they get fooled. You don't want to be fooled twice and 3 times because then, if I was a ref, I'd be pissed.
What about, you talked yesterday about pressure and how you guys kind of dealt with that against the forecheck. Looks like you split up your pairs a little bit. Is that part of the reaction to that, maybe having Phil and Hughes in a position to break pucks out?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's you try different things. It doesn't mean it's going to be set in stone. But I think sometimes it's good to throw different things at your group. The one thing that I thought over the last year we've cleaned up a lot of, but it's kind of creeped back in, is when we've made a mistake. There's been 2-3 mistakes after that mistake. It happened on 2 of the goals where a month ago that wouldn't have happened. For some reason, it's crept back in our last year game, and that's 500 hockey teams when you do that. So you cannot duplicate triple of your mistakes in a play, and it happened twice yesterday. So the players understand that, and they have to clean that up.
It's one power play goal with 2 new units, but
Yeah.
at times it looked like the groups struggled to gain entries. Is that just something that comes with time and practice, that it's not always going to be Quinn taking it up ice?
Well, in fairness to them, we did it in a morning skate. We're going to split it up, so it was a short notice. It wasn't like we've had a couple of days to go over it and practice and meet. So we've got to give them a break. But it was nice to get that goal, though. We talked about Pittsburgh. Some of their PK, the middle might be open. It's nice that the guys listen and pre-scout, and what happened? The middle was open and best score. So that's a positive. Hopefully we can build off that.
It looks like, based on deployment, that the Miller-Ronick group was PP1 for the most part, and the Hughes group came on second. I think in one power play you started with that group. But do you ever worry about making sure Hughes gets enough power play touches if he's second on?
Yeah, listen, this is a temporary thing. I don't know how long it'll last, but it'd be crazy to have Hughes is drinking Gator on the bench in a pressure situation. He's got to be out there. I mean, it's a Huggy understands. But saying that, where culture or the mindset of the team has to come first before any player. And I don't find our mindset on the power play was at a good space. So doing this might help if we do go back to the other way, we're at a better place. That's the way I look at it.
Is managing ice time, sort of thinking about the big picture, part of that story?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is, I think our team is built on depth, and if we can deploy a lot of people. I don't think we can play, we're not the type of team to start playing guys. I hope not. I mean, but where you're overplaying guys, I think, especially in the forward position. I like the fact that, you know, our top guys will play, you know, some nights they'll play 20, but 18 and 20, I think that's a better way of winning the playoffs. I do.
Since JT got here, he's been playing a lot, but this season you got him under 20 minutes. Has that been part of the reason for his success?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I got here, I mean, I use him in every situation, and, you know, I didn't want to burn him out. Hasn't PK'd as much, and I think that's helped his legs. And when I have put him on PK, you know, sporadically, I mean, look what he did last night. I just had a feeling, you know, usually I go with my 6, and he's probably the 7th, unless there's a face-off. But I felt he was going, which he was, and he had a big goal for us.
JT said on that Washington-Detroit trip, he said he hadn't played well in a month. He's been pretty darn good since then. So he's back on top of his game. Where are you with Petey and his game?
Yeah, I think a guy, well, let's talk about Millsy. For me and Millsy is, he recognizes it and then he works at his game. You know, he's the first guy to tell you guys he was crap, and you know, and then, but he does something about it. So that's one thing with Millsy, and he's played. You know, he's been our best forward. Let's face it, the last 6-7 games.
You've made some changes to your defensive pairings, but it seems like your forward group is largely intact from the last game. Do you like what the forward group is doing right now?
Well, I liked the Boston game. There's parts of Pittsburgh I liked. I don't want to start juggling balls again, so I want a little bit of consistency. So you know. Maybe, you know, do I make a switch on P's line? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'll take a look at it. But you'd like to see some consistency, but I like to see the team, like, play more consistent. I don't know if it's line mates. I think it's knowing that, hey, don't take penalties. There's certain times of a game you got to play through a guy. You can't reach for, you know, take hook and penalties. And you can't do turnovers when you're up 2-0. You know, you can make a play, but you can't turn the puck over 8 times in 8 minutes. Like, it was a turnover fest. Actually, Pittsburgh's turned the puck over too. I'm sure Mike Sullivan's pulling his hair out, but he's a little happier than I am today.
As we approach the final stretch, do you expect that Miller, Pettersson, and Lindholm will be on separate lines moving forward?
Well, I do like the 4 centermen we have. You know, I think that's an advantage we have. Whether, you know, hopefully it works out, but you have 4 centermen like that going into tough environments. I think that's a recipe, then loading up. But every once in a while, you might have to load up.
Have you liked the look of Suter more on the wing than you did at center?
Yeah. I mean, I really played him, you know, I just, you know, him with, and now Millsy has a lot to do with it, you know, with the metrics of their line. But I think Suits, you know, he's been okay. I think Suits can play better too. Like, it's not just, you know, you guys are talking about Petey and all these guys. I think guys have just been okay. And I think the positive is we're still in first place, and we have forwards that have been playing okay. So if I can get 10% of better from some guys like that, I think obviously it's going to be better for us, and I think we can achieve that.
Do you have any update on Joshua or Susie? Did they skate?
I think they're going to see the doctor. I think Seuss is today, and I think Joshua's 2 more days from now, and then we'll get some really good feedback. You know, we'll get some good news on Seuss, I think. Hopefully he has good news after he sees the doctor.
Just to repeat our effort. Showed a lot of balls for our group today.
Seems like I think you don't have to space. All these.
Generational talent. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing.